Have you noticed things don't feel the same anymore? It's subtle at first, almost like something shifted overnight, but you can't fully explain it. Same places, the same people, the same routines. Yet something inside you feels different. Conversations that once made sense now feel empty. Situations you used to tolerate now feel heavy. It's like you've outgrown a version of your life without even realizing when it happened. And that can be confusing, because on the outside, everything might still look the same, but on the inside, something is clearly changing. You start questioning things you never questioned before. Am I here? Why does this feel off? Why do I feel disconnected from things that once made me feel comfortable? It's not that anything is necessarily wrong. It's that you're no longer aligned with it in the same way. This is the part most people misunderstand. They think something is going wrong, when in reality, something is finally going right. Because growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like discomfort, like confusion, like being in between two versions of yourself. The one you used to be and the one you're becoming. And that in-between space, it's not easy to sit in. You might feel restless without knowing why. You might feel a strange distance from people you once felt close to. Even your own thoughts feel different, like you're observing life from a new perspective. It's not that you're lost, it's that you're waking up, and waking up changes everything. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you value. It changes what you're willing to accept in your life. Things that once felt normal now feel out of place, not because they changed, but because you did. And here's the truth most people don't tell you. When this shift begins, it doesn't come with clear instructions. There's no roadmap, no step-by-step guide. Just a deep inner knowing that something is different, and there's no going back to who you used to be. That's why it feels uncomfortable, because you're being stretched into something new, something bigger, something more aligned with who you're meant to become. And stretching always feels unfamiliar. But this isn't random. This isn't a mistake. This is the beginning of a shift that's meant to move you forward, even if it doesn't make sense yet. So if you've been feeling this way, don't ignore it, don't fight it, and definitely don't go back to what no longer feels right, because this feeling is the first sign that your life is starting to change. What if the things you're losing are actually protecting you? Right after that inner shift begins, something else starts happening. Things around you begin to fall apart. Not all at once, but enough for you to notice. A connection weakens. A plan doesn't work out. An opportunity slips through your hands. And your first instinct is to question it, to wonder what you did wrong, because it doesn't feel good. Loss never does. You start replaying moments in your head, trying to fix what already slipped away. You think, maybe if I tried harder, maybe if I said something different, maybe if I held on just a little longer. But no matter how much you go over it, the outcome stays the same. It's gone. It didn't work, it ended. And that's the part that hurts. Not just the loss itself, but the lack of control. The feeling that something important is being taken from you without your permission. But what if it's not being taken? What if it's being removed? Because not everything that leaves your life is meant to stay, and not everything that feels like a setback is actually working against you. Sometimes it's doing the exact opposite, clearing space for something you can't see yet. Think about it. How many times have you held on to something simply because it was familiar? Not because it was right for you, but because it was comfortable, because it was known, because letting go felt more painful than staying. But growth doesn't happen in comfort, and this shift you're going through, it won't allow you to stay where you've outgrown. So things begin to close. Slowly, intentionally, almost like life is rearranging itself without asking you first. People who once felt close start feeling distant. Situations that once worked start breaking down. Paths you were so sure about suddenly don't open anymore. And it feels confusing, even unfair. But there's a deeper pattern in all of it. You're not being pushed backward. You're being redirected. Because if everything stayed the same, you would stay the same. And that's exactly what this transformation is trying to prevent. It's trying to move you out of spaces that no longer align with who you're becoming. And yes, hurts. It's uncomfortable. It makes you question everything. But just because something feels painful doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes, the very thing you're asking to keep is the exact thing that's holding you back. So when something leaves, when something ends, a door closes in a way you didn't expect, don't rush to label it as loss. Don't immediately assume it's a failure or a mistake, because there's a difference between something falling apart and something being taken apart for a reason. And right now, even if you can't fully understand it yet, things aren't just ending randomly, they're being moved out of your way. You're starting to see things you ignored before. Why now? After things begin to fall away, something else quietly takes their place. Clarity. Not loud, not overwhelming, but sharp enough that you can't ignore it anymore. It's like a filter has been removed from your eyes, and suddenly, everything looks a little more real than it did before. You begin to notice the small things, the tone in someone's voice that didn't sit right, the energy in certain rooms that feels heavy for no clear reason, the patterns in people's behavior that you once brushed off but now seem impossible to ignore. And it's not that these things just appeared. They were always there. You're just finally seeing them. And that realization can feel unsettling. Because once you see something clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending it doesn't exist. You can't go back to being comfortable in situations that now feel misaligned. And that creates a kind of inner tension, where part of you wants to stay the same, but another part of you refuses to. You start trusting your instincts more when they don't make logical sense. That quiet feeling inside you, the one you used to ignore, becomes louder, more persistent. It nudges you, warns you, guides you. And even though you may not fully understand it, you begin to realize it's been right more often than you gave it credit for. At the same time, certain things begin to lose their appeal. Conversations that once entertained you now feel draining. Environments that once felt exciting now feel overwhelming. Even the way you spend your time starts to shift, almost naturally, without force. And here's where it gets deeper. It's not just about seeing others differently. It's about seeing yourself differently too. You become more aware of your own patterns, the ways you've settled, the times you've ignored your own boundaries just to keep the peace, the moments you accepted less than what you truly felt you deserved. And that awareness doesn't come with judgment. It comes with understanding, because you're no longer operating on autopilot. You're present. You're aware. You're paying attention in a way you never did before. And that awareness is changing how you move, how you think, and how you respond to everything around you. It might feel overwhelming at times. Too much is being revealed all at once. Like you're seeing a version of reality that's harder to navigate, because it's more honest, more raw, more real. This isn't happening to confuse you. It's happening to prepare you. Because where you're going next requires a different level of awareness, requires you to see clearly, to feel deeply, and to trust yourself in ways you never have before. So if things are starting to look different, if people feel different, if even you feel different within your own life, it's not your imagination. You're not overthinking. You're not becoming distant. You're becoming aware. There's a quiet voice inside you telling you to level up. It doesn't shout. It doesn't force you. It just sits there in the background, persistent and undeniable. A feeling that where you are right now isn't where you're meant to stay. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, distract yourself, or delay it, it keeps coming back. You feel it in the moments of silence. Everything slows down and there's nothing left to distract you from your own thoughts. That's when it speaks the loudest. Not in words, in a deep knowing that you're meant for more than what you're currently settling for. And that realization can be uncomfortable. Doesn't always come with a clear picture. It doesn't show you exactly what to do or where to go. It just creates this tension inside you, where your current life no longer fully satisfies you. But the next step isn't fully visible yet. So you sit in this space between comfort and calling. You try to go back to what used to feel normal, but it doesn't hit the same anymore. The routines feel repetitive. The goals feel small. The excitement just isn't there. And it's not because your life is falling apart. It's because your soul is asking for expansion. You're being pulled towards something greater, even if you can't define it yet, and that pull shows up in different ways. A sudden desire to improve yourself, to think bigger, to break patterns you've been stuck in for years. You start imagining a different version of your life, not just slightly better, but completely transformed. A version of you that feels more aligned, more confident, more at peace. But with that vision comes resistance. Doubt creeps in. Questions start forming. If I'm not ready? What if I fail? What if I leave behind everything I know and it doesn't work out? And those thoughts can make you hesitate, can make you second guess the very feeling that's trying to guide you forward. But here's the truth. That voice inside you isn't there to mislead you. It's there to stretch you. Because staying where you are might feel safe, but it's slowly becoming uncomfortable for a reason. You're not meant to stay in a place that no longer matches who you're becoming. And the longer you ignore that inner pull, the stronger that discomfort will grow, to punish you, but to push you, to move you out of limitation and into something that actually reflects your potential. And the interesting part is, you don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need a perfect plan or guaranteed outcomes. Need to do is acknowledge that feeling, that quiet voice, and stop pretending it's not there. Because it's not random, it's not a phase. It's a signal that you're being called to rise beyond what you've known, beyond what you've accepted, beyond what you once thought was enough. Whether you move slowly or quickly, whether you feel ready or not, that pull isn't going anywhere. Why do you suddenly want distance from everyone? It's not something you planned. You didn't wake up one day deciding to pull away from people or become more distant. It just started happening naturally. The constant noise, the conversations, the expectations, they began to feel overwhelming in a way they never did before. And now you find yourself craving space because you hate people, not because you've given up on relationships, but because something inside you is asking for quiet, for stillness, for a break from everything that once filled your time and energy. At first, it can feel confusing, even a little lonely. You might wonder if something is wrong with you. You don't feel like showing up the same way anymore. Why you'd rather be alone with your thoughts than surrounded by familiar faces. And the hardest part is trying to explain this to others who don't understand it. Because from the outside, it can look like you're withdrawing. But from the inside, something deeper is happening. You're being pulled inward for a reason. Because when everything around you starts changing, you need space to process it, space to understand what you're feeling, space to reconnect with yourself without outside influence constantly shaping your thoughts. And that kind of clarity, it doesn't come from noise. It comes from silence. So you begin to step back. You start observing more than reacting, listening more than speaking, protecting your energy in ways you never felt the need to before. And in that space, you begin to notice things about yourself that you couldn't see when everything was loud and busy. You start understanding what you truly want, what you actually need, no longer fits into your life moving forward. And yes, sometimes it feels isolating. There are moments where the silence feels heavy. You miss the comfort of distraction, even if it wasn't fulfilling. Where you question whether pulling back is the right thing to do. But this isn't permanent. This isn't you losing connection with the world. This is you rebuilding your connection with yourself. Because you can't step into a new version of your life while constantly surrounded by the patterns of your old one. You need distance to see clearly. You need stillness to hear your own thoughts. You need time alone to realign with who you're becoming. And the people who are truly meant for you, they won't disappear during this phase. They won't be threatened by your growth or your need for space. They'll still be there, even if things feel different for a while. So if you've been pulling back, if you've been choosing solitude over noise, if you've been needing time away from everything just to feel like yourself again, don't rush to fill that space. Don't force yourself back into environments that no longer feel right just to avoid being alone. Because this distance you're creating, it's not separation, it's preparation. This feeling, like something is coming, you're not imagining it. It's hard to explain, but it's there. Beneath everything you've been feeling. The confusion, the distance, the awareness, the inner pull. There's this quiet sense that something is building. You're standing on the edge of a moment that hasn't arrived yet, but you can feel it getting closer. And it doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels like pressure, like anticipation mixed with uncertainty. You can't see what's ahead clearly, but you know it won't look like what's behind you. And that alone creates a strange mix of emotions: hope, fear, curiosity, doubt, all at the same time. You start asking yourself questions you never asked before. Am I ready for what's next? What if everything really does change? What if I can't handle it? And those thoughts can slow you down, can make you hesitate right when everything is trying to move you forward. But here's what you need to understand. This feeling isn't here to scare you. It's here to prepare you. Because nothing meaningful ever arrives without a season of adjustment first. Without moments that stretch you, test you, and force you to grow into the version of yourself that can actually handle what's coming. And that's exactly where you are right now. Everything you've been experiencing. The shifts, the endings, the awareness, the isolation. It's not random. It's all connected. It's all shaping you, refining you, clearing space within you so that when the next chapter opens, you're not the same person who started this journey. You're stronger now, more aware, more aligned, even if it doesn't fully feel that way yet. And the reason it feels uncertain is because you're stepping into something new, something you haven't experienced before. And the unknown will always feel uncomfortable until it becomes familiar. But just because you can't see it clearly doesn't mean it's not real. Think about how many things in your life once felt impossible, distant, or unclear, until they finally happened. This moment is no different. The only difference is that now you're more conscious of the process. You're more aware of the shift as it's happening. And that awareness can make everything feel more intense. But it also means you're ready to stop repeating the same cycles, ready to stop settling for what no longer aligns, ready to step into something that actually reflects who you've become through all of this. So when that feeling rises again, that sense that something is about to change, that something bigger is on its way, don't dismiss it. Don't talk yourself out of it. And don't let fear convince you to stay where you are just because it's familiar. Because this isn't just a feeling. It's a signal that everything you've been going through is about to make sense.